This next tape is entitled The Magdalene Legacy. It's a book written by Lawrence Gardner. This has a lot of interesting material in it. It's a must-read for any religious person, as well as Christians who really want to find out what the real truth is. Let me give you some of the interesting points in the book. I have about 22 things I wrote down, but still encourage you to read this book and to buy it, to have it as a reference text when Mary anointed Jesus right before he was supposedly going to die, go to the cross and everything. She did it after the manner of an Assyrian protocol, because she used the spikenard as opposed to other types of spices which would have been considered to be Jewish. And she did it also the pattern of the Song of Solomon, where the prince, in this case Jesus, was sitting and the spikenard. Actually, the spikenard also has a sexual inference too. It has spikenard as an erotic spice. It may well have been that the Jesus being washed with his feet by Mary might have actually really meant that they were having intercourse, but that's open for debate. But it was the Essene practice that after the initial espousal, as is also in the case of Mother Mary or any other Jewish woman, was that you had to wait 3 months, each time they were pregnant, to see if they would go full term. And after 3 months, then they would be allowed to finalize the marriage. In the case of Mary, she was contacted by Gabriel, which was a second-tier office of ministries, whereas Michael is the first tier of, like, the high priest. So the Gabriel wasn't an actual angel like most people think. It's a messenger service within the Jewish church, or the Essene culture, whatever. And then that finalized the marriage. But Jesus was baptized with oil by his wife there. That means that she was already past 3 months of pregnancy. Also, they're supposed to get espoused, all these people, in September. They're not supposed to have sex twice a year, once in December, once in March, and then they wait to see if the person is going to have the child. And that doesn't necessarily mean that the first child is going to be a man. They perfectly want that too. The other part is when Jesus went to the marriage feast at Cana, the only people that had authority to bring in the wine was either the person who's holding the marriage ceremony, which ironically enough was Mary. That was Jesus' mother, or the bridegroom, and that would have been Jesus in this case, because nobody could just walk off the street and bring in the extra wine. It wasn't allowed. And that was their protocol. That was their paradigm of existence. Mary Magdalene was called a whore. It was a mistranslation of the word whore, which back in those days meant vagabond or gypsy. Also, because they wanted to switch over everything to a male society, to denigrate somebody like Mary Magdalene. They didn't do that to Mary, Mother Mary, but because they did the opposite. In fact, they elevated her to such a high level that she was a immaculate conception, that she was a god, and all this crap. They kind of dehumanized her. So they're either going to denigrate or dehumanize the females that they're dealing with. What's the other point here? When a woman, before she's married, she's considered to have 7 demons and when she gets married, those 7 demons leave. Ironically, Jesus supposedly kicked out of Mary Magdalene these 7 same spirits, again indicating that they were married. When Jesus came to Lazarus to supposedly raise Lazarus from the dead, who actually wasn't really dead, he was sociologically made dead because of his uprising against Pontius Pilate, and it was rescinded actually before even Jesus got there. Jesus brought the message anyway. And when he came to the house, Mary tried to go outside, but was rebuked by the elders. And the reason why is because the tradition is that when a husband walks up to a house, the wife is not to leave the house. She's supposed to stay in the house. Martha, on the other hand, went outside. And then another thing is, Martha was the wife of Lazarus, whose last name was Simon. Simon was then part of the high priest class. In fact, he was the high priest apostle for the Essene group at that time, which later on, when Jesus turned 40, which is the Messianic age, the same year that he got crucified, but actually never really got killed at the cross, because Joseph of Aramatheia, who was really his brother James, who was an alchemist of sorts, master of craft just like his father, wasn't a carpenter, was a guy who dealt monoatomic gold, was used in the Old Testament during the time of Moses. It was ingested so that people could avoid infections and increase their lifespan and so on. Mary Magdalene also too, when she anointed the feet and everything as a wife and that, she was the only person that was allowed to come to this tomb with either Jesus' mother, or in this case his wife could show up there. The heirs of the bloodline of Jesus was called the Spani. According to this book, when it shows that the Spazzini basically disappeared in 750 AD. Also, too, Jesus was born either 5 BC according to Jewish calendar, or 7 BC according to the solar calendar, which is the Julian calendar, that was established in 24 AD. So at the age of, in 33 AD, supposedly when he got killed with that, the same year he became the actual husband of Mary Magdalene. At the same year that he had his first son, he was supposed to have his first son at the age of 40, which indicated his Messiah class. That's after that same event, after he got out from the great tomb thing, after the so-called crucifixion. There's two ways to kill on the cross: either nail him to the cross according to the Roman tradition, or have him hang on a piece of wood according to the Jewish tradition, which he did for a couple of hours. Yes, he got lanced in the side. He was given the vinegar was a stale wine with a little snake oil, which actually would have killed him. They got around taking care of that again because they had the monoatomic gold that James had, or Joseph of Aramatheia, same guy. By the way, Joseph of Aramatheia establishes a church in England somewhere so many years, around 35, 36 AD, and then comes back to Jerusalem and gets killed in a I don't know, missionary exposition with Jesus. They go to Galatia. And matter of fact, that shows that Jesus, every time the Word of God came to a certain country, according to the epistles, that actually meant that Jesus was with them. So there's many things here that or when fishermen meant they were baptizing people. The fishes represented the Gentile, whereas the loaves of bread represented the Jew. Let me see. And also at that same time, Jesus became part of the Melchizedek order with that. You know, that was what was meant by going to heaven with that. And I guess I have to make a second tape here.